Hello everyone, my name is Whinery and I'm here to talk to you today about teenagers. It's been said that raising teenagers is much like navigating a life minefield. You never know when you're going to step on a grenade, when you're going to be happy, when everything's going to be fine, or when there's much more boiling just below the surface. Teenagers typically express both verbal and nonverbal cues indicating that they may be suffering from depression or indicating that they may want to harm themselves. The purpose of the speech today is to inform you of the risks, what they look like, how you can communicate with your teenager or a teenager that you know, and resources that can be helpful in aiding them in getting the appropriate help. So in my speech today, I'll cover the warning signs of teen suicide risk and depression, ways that you can communicate with your teenager, and resources that are available to help you. What verbal and nonverbal cues do teens express that may be suicidal or depressed? Some clues that they may be suicidal or depressed are changes in their mood or behavior. If you normally have a happy, bubbly teen that all of a sudden doesn't want to go to activities that they used to, such as church, sports with friends, family outings, things like that, they may become more somber, less caring, express emotions less. They may isolate. They may be holed up in their room. If this is a teen that, beforehand was someone who liked to get out and do things, you may find them spending less and less time doing those things. They may also have changes in eating and sleeping habits, such as insomnia, which is not sleeping, or hypersomnia, which is where they're constantly sleeping. They may have appetite loss or appetite gain, so you may see them in the kitchen scarfing down everything, or you may see that they're not eating at all. That could even lead to things like anorexia, bulimia. They may also express changes in their language. So things that can happen in this case, they're talking about suicide, they're talking about depression, they're talking about feeling worthless, helpless, not having any type of hope for the future, things like that. And something else to look for is that they're constantly talking about death or may even become obsessed with death itself. Harmful behavior that teens express, they put themselves in harm's way, so maybe taking unnecessary risks. Something that could be as simple as going to car races with friends that, may be something that they didn't do before. They want to participate in scarier activities when that teen used to be super confident, caring, safe. They could also do things like burning themselves or cutting themselves. So now that you know some of the warning signs of teen depression and suicide risks, what are some ways that you as a parent can help communicate with your child to ensure that they're getting the help that they need? The biggest thing that I would say in this is that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be something small. Start out by having a conversation with them. Ask them if they're feeling depressed. A lot of times they're not going to tell you that right away. They may be more comfortable with a adult family member, an adult friend, or even just talking with their doctor. The biggest thing that's most important is to make sure that you listen to them. Author and licensed clinical social worker Katie Hurley says, depression is not a problem to be solved, it's a disease to be healed. The biggest things to remember when you're talking with a child who you suspect to be depressed is don't judge them, minimize them, or criticize them. This will completely shut them down. You want to be persistent. They might open up little by little. Trust your instincts. That's the biggest thing too, is that you want to be keen to what's going on. If you feel like your child's depressed and they're talking to you little by little, but you're not getting what you need, go beyond that. Don't let it go. Don't just bury that. So what are some resources that you have available to you? Resources in your area are proactive measures that can be sought out if at home isn't helping. You can go to your family doctor. They can recommend things like therapy and medication. National Suicide Prevention Hotline is another great one. It's 1-800-273-TALK. That's a great one to keep on hand. The National Alliance on Mental Illness will give you resources in your area, and that website is nami.org. As a mother of a daughter who did resort to cutting, I can tell you that even if one life is saved or changed by this, then that is absolutely worth it. So today we learned about nonverbal and verbal cues that teens communicate, indicating that they may or may not be depressed or suicidal. So we talked about those warning signs, we talked about communication with your teen, and help and resources that are available to you. So even if you don't have kids now, but you're planning on having kids in the future, you never think that you're going to be that parent. Like I said, it happened to me, and it can happen to anyone. It can happen to teens that you least expect. My daughter, for example, is an honor student and involved in lots of activities, so I have to tell you that I did not think that would be my issue. Really just don't let your child become another statistic. Be present, be available, and be vigilant. We do our best as parents, family members, and friends to see the warning signs of suicidal, depressed teens. Don't bury your loved ones in an early grave. Thanks for listening.